Let's start immediately, and let me start with Guillaume. Guillaume, can you introduce yourself a bit and expertise AMA?
Yeah, of course. So bonjour, hello everyone. I'm Guillaume Campion. I'm based out in France, and actually AMA is based as well in France, even if we have offices in the US, in Europe, in China, in Japan. So we have offices already all around the world. We are 90 people, and definitely focus around remote assistance here. In this slide, you can see actually 3 of our main products. One is definitely called Light, where it's browser-based, so no application to install. It's definitely meant to work on your own device. So whatever device you have and you already use in your own company or in your own facility. Then there's one called Essential, which is definitely sought and meant to be working on smart glasses. And last but not least, we have Advanced, which is more, it's an Android application which actually transforms your smartphone or your tablet into a Swiss Army knife, meaning that you can plug whatever head-mounted display or whatever cameras or video extra source to be able to record or to whatever you see, either visible or invisible. Here you have an example of a FLIR camera to get everything which is thermal images. Can come up on the next slide. In a nutshell, what is remote assistance? So imagine here in this image, you're having a field worker having an issue in his factory and needing some help to repair it. So he's going to call a remote expert here on the right side, and he will be able to keep his hands free. He's a field worker and be able to get some help and to get everything fixed. Most important is that you need to remember that 80% of the overall workforce is deskless, and so here we're bringing remote assistance solution for those deskless workers which are not desk-bound, meaning not connected to their own computer. And this is all the value of AMA in bringing our remote assistance solution, mainly based on smart glasses, but not only.
Okay, well, Guillaume, welcome, and maybe I can say Guillaume and AMA is really one of the global leaders in this game of remote assistance with smart glasses. So thank you for participating today. Then we go over to another market leader in the smart glasses itself, RealWear. Rama, can you present yourself?
Great, thank you, Peter, and hello everyone. And I'm very happy to be here with such an esteemed panel. My name is Rama Oruganti. I'm the Chief Product Officer at RealWear. In the past, I've worked in a number of companies like HP, John Deere, and so on, but I won't get into that too much. Let me get into what RealWear is. RealWear was founded in 2016, and our focus from the very beginning has been on the industrial frontline worker. And there, our focus has always been on being hands-free and eyes forward. And we've pretty much created this category around assisted reality with our head-mounted tablet. Now, we are seen as the gold standard for XR devices for frontline workers. We have had many major blue chip companies adopt us at scale. In fact, 41 of the Fortune 100 companies use us today. So we are very excited to be here because really the reason for us being able to scale is the partnerships with people like AMA and Proceedix. The way we work is we make our hardware and we have software that enables the hardware, and now we have a cloud solution, but at the end the real customer-facing interaction and the solution comes from third-party partners like AMA. So that's what I'm calling the full stack solution, because you need all these pieces to work together to have an amazing experience and converge at the frontline work. I'm based in San Jose, California. The company is based in Vancouver, Washington in the US. I will stop there. More questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Rama. And indeed, with this volume, in this segment, RealWear is definitely the undisputed market leader. So, Jochen, could you introduce yourself? PricewaterhouseCoopers will be familiar for many of us, but maybe not in this space.
Indeed, that was going to be my first sentence, so thanks for that, Peter. So, no, Jochen Vincke, I'm the manufacturing leader for PwC Belgium and also industrial manufacturing leader for EMEA at PwC. I have a big passion for manufacturing, people and technology, and in that sense, I've been also implementing a lot of wearable devices in a big set of companies we've been working with throughout the globe, among most of them being in chemicals, food and beverage, and industrial manufacturing. I'm also a board member for Flanders Make, which is a government institution with over 700 of researchers looking into bridging academics and industrials in the space of manufacturing. So I'm very, very curious about new technology, and I love to experiment with new technology, and hope to share with you today also some of our experiences, good and bad, with using wearables, and what I think is also going to be the next step that we're going towards.
Okay, thank you, Jochen. And then last, I would say, I will introduce us, Proceedix. I'm Peter Verstraeten, responsible for Proceedix. It's a connected worker platform of Symphony AI Industrial. And basically what it does is the things you know that you're familiar with, like a standard operating procedure, 1-point lesson, a checklist, a control form, all of that stuff can be, I would say, formed into a workflow, step by step, task by task, and telling people what they need to do, or asking people the questions about what they have done, and then execute it with any type of device, because the platform is device agnostic. So it comes down, there is an authoring component. There's an authoring component where you formulate the workflows with conditional logic, whatever is needed. And then you authorize people that can execute it. Those people take whatever device they want to use and then execute it. Everything that they do and what the device is knowing as well, or registering, is sent to the server. It's all registered in a unique execution database. Every execution is unique. Then it's kind of an SQL in the cloud on which you can put Power BI. If you have another tool like Tableau, you can put on it what you want. We import data from systems like SAP. We export data back to an MES system or the systems like SAP. And so basically, Proceedix is the digital inspection and instruction execution platform. That's our perspective on this topic. So, wearable devices. First thing is wearable devices in industry. It's more than glasses, because wearable in the end is what you can wear, and you can put it in your pocket. You can put it via sleeve, a wristband on your hand, close to your hand. You can hang it around your neck. This is a Palm, smallest Android phone, 60 grams. The size of the screen has the size of approximately two times the display of a smartwatch. Smartwatches itself, you have sensors, like this is from the COVID times, where you had the social distance warning sensor. And then you have obviously the smart glasses. These are, we come to that in a second or a bit later in this session. These are assisted reality smart glasses, the Google Glass, the RealWear, as you've seen it, and another one, the heuristic. There is more than that, there is the music and so on. So in the broadest sense, I would say all of these are wearables. Even an iPad mini, if you have big pockets, you can put it in your pocket and consider it as a wearable too. Now, my first question, and it will be the question for Jochen. Okay, you as a consultant, visiting many work floors, of many different factories, what kind of devices do you see most of the time? And I didn't put an answer up, but no device might also be an answer. We still see pen and paper, but Jochen, up to you. What is your perspective?
I think in the meantime, no device is probably already past us. I think most of us have moved past the paper and pen situation. I think at most operated places there is a desktop at least, and we see a move towards more wearable devices. And it's funny that you say if you have very big pockets, Peter, because when we started somewhat 8-9 years ago with using tablets and so on in an operation environment, we saw that, for example, the size of the tablets was very much something which we experimented with a lot, so that the 7-inch devices were very much preferred because they fit exactly into the deep pockets of a maintenance operator. And all those things, of course, you come across when you try and experiment. That being said, the main devices that we currently see in operation are still tablets, to be honest. Tablets and phones are out there. Here and there, you see people experimenting with assisted reality, so smart glasses, but it's still a minority. And on very specific use cases, you see also that other smart devices are being used. One of the examples that boomed, and maybe we'll come to that later on during Corona or COVID period, was remote assistance, but also the fact that people could not visit any of the sites. A lot of our clients used smart glasses to actually allow someone to visit the site from a distance, to get introduced to a factory, to introduce to the people, and so on. So we see this coming more and more, and it's a very easy ROI if you look at travel costs. I don't think it's going to come away. And on the, I do see also some experimentation, especially in chemicals, with collision warning bracelets and those kind of elements. So that is coming as well.
All right, thank you for that. So the biggest volume, maybe I'll ask you the question: is the biggest volume, if you consider everything, desktop still?
I would say yes. Most of the industrial environments, I still see desktops at the production line. Yeah.
Okay. Right, and then of course the relation is between the device and the use case. You framed it a little bit based on your experience. Maybe you can enlighten us with your view.
Some specific elements. Yeah. So we often try to categorize the use cases in three different forms of interaction. There's one on locate. How do you know where you are, or how do you track subcontractors when they're on site? Here we see things coming with, especially with the bracelets, or even equipping forklifts with IoT devices to know exactly where they are, and to interact with bracelets that people have on them to avoid collisions. Also to check whether or not an operator, for example, is still standing up, or if he has had an accident or something has happened to him. So I think in terms of safety, a lot of companies are experimenting with it, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be more and more adhered to. People will be used to automatically wearing some kind of a device that is tracking and monitoring their health. Of course, you can expect some kind of union discussions going on here as well, but it is something which is not going to be out of the picture anymore in the coming years. The second thing is actually where we started. The inform part is where we also expanded a lot with Proceedix as a workflow tool, doing visual inspections, doing changeovers using a workflow tool where people are actually guided on a tablet or on a smart glass. The thing that we learned there was mainly that we need to adopt workflow to the experience level of operators. And what we ran into is that the most experienced operators actually felt that it was a burden to go through that checklist, while the youngsters often did not have enough information in there. So it's an important learning that we took from what we saw at our clients that we need to adopt there. And then the last part is in the interact part, where you also typically you receive information, but out there, whether or not it's someone that is doing remote service for you or a system, you get an interaction in some kind of way, calling in PNIDs, using support from an expert. And I think there's a huge amount of change coming in that interact part, where you will need either a smart glass or something which allows you to do this interaction in a good way. And I think a smart glass is very well suited because you have your hands free as an operator. But it will be the future in the sense of, I see a lot of my clients investing in what they call virtual assistants, meaning how can I prescribe the action I want to see in terms of process settings for my operators. And this you can only do by bringing this information in the right format at the right moment, at the right place. So being an operator at the production line. And to do that, I think we will need smart glass devices to make that happen. And you will also be able to benefit from elements like Symphony AI. So the AI part of prescribing an action at the right moment for the process setting, that will obviously have a big impact in the way an operator is managing his production line.
Okay, and maybe I'll ask the question first to Rama for the RealWear. Okay, obviously you're selling the device, the smart glasses. So that's the starting point. But let me ask the question then this way for you. Out of 100 RealWears, how many are used for which use or bought for which use case? Can you give us an idea and what kind of use cases you predominantly see?
Yeah, sure. So I think the predominant use cases for us are two. One is see what I see, where knowledge workers are split up and they're scattered all around. Knowledge is no longer in one place. So the use case that Jochen was mentioning, where during COVID, for example, there was a big spike in people using it. And now after people have seen the utility, they've continued to use it. Where you are fixing something, downtime is very important, and you're able to get the right information from the right expert in situ while you're there. It also saves on travel expenses. The other we see are workflows, where at the minimum end, you can think of it as you're taking something that was on paper, like we talked about earlier, and make it into digital. But then once you make it into digital, you can make it a lot more sophisticated. You show the right piece of information to the right person at the right time, right? That becomes a lot of efficiency gains from that. You're also able to extract information from systems of record and show it to the person, which may not be possible with a static manual. And then you're also able to ingest back into that system things like videos and pictures while you do, for example, an audit or something like that. So once people start seeing that this is not just simply I'm taking something that I already have and making it digital, but now once it's digital, it can do a lot of things. We've seen more and more adoption. So those are the two big use cases out there.
Well, between the lines, I heard like almost three, but correct me if I'm wrong. Remote assistance, workflow, call it the guidance of people, and then what I would call connecting them and giving them information that is known in the backend, but not where they're standing necessarily. It could be a pressure of a vessel, could be anything, could be the status of an order that they're about to ship. Is that correct, what I'm saying?
That is correct, yes.
Just and maybe that's a difficult one, but your gut feeling, if you had to split it in a percentage, how much out of the 100 would be remote assistance, you think?
I would say maybe slightly greater than half today. But what has happened in the past, I would say a year or two, is that additional workflows are also increasing in the background. Okay. See what I see still is primarily our use case, but I think there is a lot more interaction between, it's no longer just pure see what I see. When people do that, then they realize that it would be nice to also have it as part of some kind of workflow or connect back to the workflow.
All right. And Guillaume, I'll reverse. Remote assistance is the predominant use case if you see it from a smart glasses vendor's perspective, for every 100 glasses sent out of the door. But then I could ask you the opposite question. You are selling the remote assistance platform. How much is, in your case, is then customers using it with smart glasses and compared to, let's say, tablets and phones?
Well, that's a good question overall. Where is it a bit tricky is that usually it's not two smart glasses which are discussing one another. So overall, you always have on one side a smart glass and you always have a computer on the other side. This being said, let's make a difference between a conversation with at least one smart glass, we'll call it a smart glass conversation, and other which are, for sure, non-smart glasses. Overall, in terms of, I would say in terms of volume, maybe you would have in our business, maybe you have a bit more than 60%, which are not smart glasses, so without smart glasses. But then, in terms of, this is just in terms of volumes, but then more in terms of value, definitely if a smart glass is used, it means that it has a higher value just because it was meant to ship a device there. And definitely what you can do with a smart glass, you won't be able to do it when just hanging on with your smartphone. And usually we see a longer time of use or higher return on investment where there's a smart glass behind it, just because, well, actually the process has been taught as well for smart glasses. So in a nutshell for your answer, higher volume in non-smart glasses, just because, as Jochen said, still smartphone and tablets are definitely the most with well spread wearable devices all around the industry. But definitely where we see that it is where smart glasses, where you will have even more value. And to get as well to one of your questions, asking Rama before, what kind of use cases, what we see and what we push as well for companies, because all companies are looking for return on investment. And this is where we actually see, okay, you have, this is beauty of as well our digital world, is that a device is not only meant for one single use case. Means that if you can start having it for procedures with digital workflow, and when you're having an issue, then you can get to remote assistance or the way around. So definitely it's not, well, it's not always black and white. Usually the more they're going to use it, the better value they're going to get out of it. So this is
okay, that's very interesting that from your perspective, it's like a 60-40, 40% smart glasses, but a higher value. From the instructions and inspections point of view, current situation, it's an evolving thing. I would say that 90% is tablet and phones, but it's probably natural because so many people already have that phone. Less than 10% smart glasses, and we rarely ever see for this purpose a watch. But then a watch, I've been thinking about that. A watch, it's a small screen size. Number two, the interaction with the watch is also particular because of the position of the watch on your hand. The camera function is not there, which is with smart glasses where it should be, close to your eyes and what you're seeing. So that's where we see a quite exceptional demand or a case once in a while for a smart watch compared to smart glasses and compared to the majority of the tablet use cases. But I don't know, would you agree with that, Rama, or do you have a different perspective there?
Yeah, it's for me or for you?
For Rama, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I think the form factor of assisted reality devices is better for doing hands-free, voice-enabled kind of use cases. I understand that, yes, smartphones and tablets are much more pervasive, and so there'll be a bigger attach there, but we see more and more traction towards assisted reality devices, primarily because it's a new form factor. It takes a while for the awareness to be there. But once people start using it, then they start seeing utility in it. And as Guillaume pointed out, it's not for one use case. You have multiple use cases with one device, and they start exploring that over time.
Okay.
Yeah. If I may, Peter, it's I can vouch for what Rama says. So I think we had a very good period for smart devices because of COVID. So a lot of people were exposed to how it works, what it is, what you can do with it, and I think it has broken down the threshold for using more of smart devices in a manufacturing environment. Personally, I'm very convinced that there will be two predominant cases coming up. There's the one on the safety, which you already discussed with watches and so on. But I think the main one, especially on the ROI side, will be the one where you can use, where your hands free, and you can actually be guided by a virtual assistant to improve efficiency and yield of a certain process. I think there, the quality benefits and the energy efficiency benefits will very much outweigh the cost associated with any of the hardware and software.
Okay, it neatly brings us to the, okay, what kind of smart glasses discussion? And okay, if I have put it here on the slide, pretty simplified. You have the virtual reality, the Meta, or the former Oculus, HTC, that type of device. You don't see anything of the world, but you're completely immersed. And so pretty unsafe to wear that on a floor, on a manufacturing floor, good behind the desk. Then you have the truly augmented, let's call it, or the mixed reality, the HoloLens type of device, where the optical engine in front of your eyes allows you to see through partly, and then for the rest is used to put a digital overlay on what you see. And then you have the assisted reality, which leaves your eyes free for the world, but provides you, I would say, simplified hands-free phone in your field of view, or a hands-free screen in your field of view, which allows you to have eyes on the world. This is desk, by the way. This is more the work floor, the execution. But Rama, you framed it. Feel free to give a little bit your perspective on this as the representative of assisted reality.
Sure. You put it really well, Peter, already. So one extreme on the right-hand side is virtual reality, where you're completely immersed, everything is digital. On the left is reality, look around you, right? That's real. We are closer to reality. So we don't superimpose information on the real world. Information that you need is right below your line of sight. And one of the important thing is it's not just about the technology with which information is presented, it's also cognitive load, right? One extreme you can think about augmented or mixed reality is think of like a fighter pilot with a big cockpit window and lots of information coming in. Now it becomes very important to only give the right information at the right time. By the design of our headset, it forces only the most important information to be there, because it's more like the speedometer in your car, where you don't look at it when you need it, but you're not staring at it, right? Your focus is on outside, on driving the car. So similarly, for the industrial worker, we want to focus on the task at hand, and the information comes, and that's why it's voice only. There's nothing for you to press or swipe or slide or pinch or zoom. Everything is voice driven for that reason. So for us, the most important thing is situational awareness. Hands-free, we've used the word multiple times today, and eyes forward. And the other thing I would think is the cognitive load, how much information you're processing, and being able to give you the right information at the right time. And our devices are extremely rugged. They're meant for industrial environment. You can just throw them down on the concrete floor, they'll work. It's not fragile at all. So we've designed it from the very beginning with one user in mind. That's the industrial frontline. So okay. That's how we look at assisted reality. That's who it should serve.
Okay, well, and assisted reality, the word assistance in there, Guillaume, that's again assistance while not being present. That's your thing. Maybe you can highlight a few of those elements here.
Correct. Yeah, this is where, well, the slide here is definitely to give you, for those who have never got the chance yet to test either the devices or remote assistant solution, definitely, if you think about see what I see, definitely you share your own point of view, and remotely you will be able to take control of the, well, kind of as if you were taking a remote control of his vision. You're able to zoom in, take picture, and then to be able to upgrade it with some specific annotation, or even being able to input to upload some pictures, some videos, whatever, and to push them into the display of the glass wearer. Just because most important is not only the thing that there's a camera instead of your eyes, but as well that you have a display screen on which you're able to show and display some information. We were already discussing this earlier, but definitely one of the most important parts is to be able to share knowledge. It's not only a smart glass. It's not a GoPro on which you're just going to record a movie and just push it. It's definitely something interactive on which you share a lot of information for various reasons, and definitely because you need those. And this is definitely where you have this assisted, not because you're someone you need assistance because you're weak. No, it's definitely sharing both on both sides to get the best of the situation. This is where it's kind of very important. This is where kind of merging both good software such as Proceedix or AMAs and get with the best device as we can have. Yeah, with RealWear devices, definitely makes sense.
Yeah, the keyword, if you compare it to the GoPro, it's bi-directional. It goes two directions, and the GoPro just captures what you're seeing, but without any feedback or help from somebody else. Now, Jochen, in this slide, I would like to get your, again, observation. What do you see, what do you encounter most in companies? Is it virtual reality, and what kind of use cases do you see at that end, which is more a desk tool, because you need to use it in a safe situation compared to the assisted reality smart glasses? Any opinion on that?
Yeah, and the hype at the beginning of real virtual reality in a manufacturing environment is a is quite big, but in reality, we see that it only makes sense in maybe 2 use cases. One being product design. So when you design a new train, for example, or a new even building, to see that in reality, be able to shift it around and really look at that in a almost real environment. There we see it. And then secondly is for training purposes, how to assemble elements and so on, those kind of elements. So those are the 2 cases. Of course, you're really locked in. You are in a different world, so being productive is a bit difficult when having a virtual reality glass on. Augmented, I've seen some very nice videos, but in reality, I've never seen it actually on the floor, where you can really, as you walk around, receive information from what parts you should be handling, or receive information on how to assemble and so on. I haven't not seen that in practice of any of my clients. So I think there's still a road to go there. Most of the time, we're talking about assisted reality, where you receive additional information that you ask yourself, or based on very simple things like a beacon and so on. But yeah, those are the predominant cases I see.
Yeah, that's. I think it's similar what we observed. But would you agree that the real volume in terms of units, therefore, is in the assisted reality, much more than because of course assisted reality, and I don't know from what you see, is that a personal device, or does it easily becomes a personal device? It's obvious for training, it's a shared device. So would you agree that the real volume is in assisted reality?
Yeah, absolutely. The real volume is there because it's the actual work that you are doing that you are guided on. So you need it for every operator. And then is it a personal device? There's different views on that. We've experimented with giving everyone their own device, or having a shared device per shift, for example, or per operator that shifts that hands over to the next one. Depends a bit on company culture, what works best. I don't say there's one specific way that works better. I would well, look at the company culture and how people are treating their equipment at that point in time. So,
okay. Maybe one question here in terms of volume. Interesting, Guillaume, your remote assistance, that's the key thing there that you're doing, sorry. What do you see there? Are technicians walking around with a personal device, or is it more, I'll ship one to a location and use it whoever needs it?
No, so far it's still more one device either per factory, I would say at least per floor or per division or department of this factory. It's definitely and this is, well, I think it's because the fact that it's remote assistance is where don't really know in advance where you're going to need it, or it's a point. So it's definitely still one device per team. Definitely, this is where, for instance, merging it with workflows or with other devices make it higher volume, just because we all want to get it into personal, because this is where the highest return on investment will be. Because if you can upscale all the different workers, it's definitely it's better than only one. But so far, because it's still some investment, some learning curve to get, and some change process to go, so far it's still much more only one per factory or one per division or team.
So a shared device, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's depending on the use case. Yeah. So that's for the remote assistance, it really is the case. For workflow, it is everyone his own device.
Okay. Okay, clear. So depending on the use case, it influences whether you get one yourself or it's just one for everyone that needs it. Okay. Now, of course, the driver in industry is always what's the value. Different types of value. I would say productivity, compliance, whatever. But Jochen, you as a consultant, what do you see? I assume that you make return on investment models for these type of projects, or is it not needed? There is no request for that.
Well, there's two approaches there. In the past, we met quite a bit of companies that had a very passionate COO about technology and said, we want to go for a connected workforce and we want to implement tablets or smart glasses and so on. And then the ROI didn't really matter. I think those days are behind us in the meantime. think now it's all about what problem are we solving, and then what is the benefit that we see there. And for workflow tools, it's very easy. You save time for operators or maintenance operators in terms of labor cost. For the safety one, it's more difficult to really develop there the ROI. So I think it's going to be more like a compliance thing, and it's going to be, if you don't have it, you are left behind versus your industry peers, especially in chemical environments. If you look at the ROI of remote assistance, that was a very easy one. During COVID, you shipped, and we did the same. You shipped smart glasses to wherever you wanted, and you save a plane ticket, a hotel cost, and so on. I think that is here to stay. I think there's really going to be less travel because of this technology. But as I said earlier, I think the biggest use case for us is going to be in guiding operators in applying the right settings in a production environment, because that has such a big influence on elements like energy use, elements like quality, waste and scrap, so B quality. It is going to be a huge revolution that's coming for operators, in my opinion. And it's also a way to standardize the way you operate your machine.
And Guillaume, okay, you're doing that remote assistance. What's your experience? Do customers still ask for where is the return, or did they already consider it as a no-brainer and therefore no questions asked on this?
No, there are still a lot of questions overall. And we still have to bring answers. And definitely, so COVID was definitely a good catalyst for the market. But then people saying, okay, COVID is over, let's get back to as before. But then we figure out with different chip shortage, you have some countries such as China, which are still very difficult to go through. And then you have as well this all the CSR challenges that you can have for global warming and so on. So definitely, there's a lot of cases on which companies will have to adapt and point out. So this being said, if it was as easy as just calculating, well, of course, plane tickets and hotel nights is definitely an easy one to calculate. But then it's again, the point is, say, yeah, one per factory, but what if it's not using it a lot? There's still some problem of training, how often am I going to use it, how to calculate this. And this is why what is important is definitely to make it as easy as possible and seamless. Definitely, and so this is why we always bring in, usually with our customers, we always have a project managers that are going to follow up and help them to write down where are their objectives and to see and to help them to calculate this ROI, and not only about plane tickets and so on, because sometimes we did had some industries and some customers on which the people who were traveling were getting some extra bonuses because they were traveling. And so for them, having smart glasses, it was definitely something that was lowering their wages. So definitely not of interest for them. This is why sometimes it's not always, pretty tricky. And this is why overall it was always kind of, see it globally, see it not overall in terms of overall efficiency, not only for, what is good for your own business, for yourself, for the planet, and take it overall. And this is where sharing this knowledge and having such good tool is, is always important into showcases.
Okay, well, let me add one thing to that. You said, okay, calculating an ROI for remote assistance, including the device and the software and everything. And then the question is, how many times do you use it? I would make the parallel with a fire extinguisher. You have one, you have plenty, and you have one in every room sometimes. And you only hope for you never have to take it from the wall and use it. Still, you pay for it. And as you pay for the insurance against a fire, and you also hope you never use it, but you pay every year for that insurance. If you look at it this way, well, you might argue we should have these smart glasses, we should have this remote assistance, because, okay, even if we use it one time in a year, it could be a downtime of 8 hours that is avoided, or a downtime of 3 days that is avoided by having somebody immediately available, connecting and helping us out. Is that the way that you're approaching this with your customers? And I would first ask Rama, maybe.
Sure.
Did you ever come up with that type of an approach?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's actually quite easy to talk about downtime, right? Because a lot of our customers are capital intensive, and they're using very expensive equipment to make lots of things in an hour. So even if you have an hour of downtime, it's super expensive, especially if you get into more of the oil and gas chemical kind of space. It's even more critical for them to avoid downtime. We do talk about it in that way. But I think what ends up happening is they buy it thinking it's more like insurance, like you talked about, or more like I'll use it rarely. But once they have the device, as Guillaume pointed out before, it has other things you can do with it, especially even with remote assistance. They start seeing the value of being able to call somebody not just when it's a crisis. And then they start using it more and more and more. That's what we have observed. So it's easier to have that conversation up front if people are doubtful of the ROI. But we have plenty of use cases and white papers and experience now that we can clearly point out where things, where there is measurable ROI easily.
Okay. Well, from an inspection and instruction, I can only confirm guiding people. It makes them do the 20 steps the way they should do it. Take a changeover or a clean in line and a lubrication, and often they do the steps the way they think it, but then at the end they start tuning the machine because it doesn't produce what they expected it to produce, and in overall you lose much more time than you should have spent when you were following the steps one by one in a correct way. So definitely time gain, and I think on the remote assistance, downtime indeed is a no-brainer, even if it happens only once every 2 years. Even then, the return would be quickly justified. Now, that's plenty of I would say, drivers and reasons to implement and to go. Still, that's not widely adopted, the wearables industry, so there must be some hurdles. I put some on the slide, but okay, Jochen, you are neutral in this space, I would say, and what are you observing? Why is it not adopted yet so widespread?
I'm happy to understand that I'm neutral in this space. Okay. But no, I'm a very big fan of supporting operators, be it in production or in maintenance, with the right technology. So I'm not entirely neutral, I would say. But what you do see is that in terms of culture, it's probably, especially the maintenance crowd, is by nature a bit more cynical and very proud of the knowledge they inherently have. They invested in their career of being technically an expert in something, and then taking that a little bit away and replacing that with technology is something that they're sometimes a bit wary of. So it takes a bit of time to get them to understand what the value is for them. And we did this in the past as well. One of my bigger chemical clients, where we got the question, let's introduce tablets, for example, and then also smart glasses for workflow. It was very difficult to get that accepted. And then we changed the approach. Instead of coming with the technology, we asked the operators, what kind of problem do we solve if you would have a workflow tool? And then going through that discussion and really doing the workshops based on the experience they would have, and then bringing the technology actually helped to increase the acceptance. Obviously, with some technologies, we also face concerns in terms of, are you going to be able to track me throughout my day when I'm running around in this factory? That is a very sensitive one, where depending on the country, also the laws are different, and where it's also an open discussion, I would say. Discussing what the benefits are for the people that actually are going to use the technology versus what they are likely to give up in that sense.
Okay. And Rama, for when you hope to scale up with your RealWear smart glasses in a larger corporation, what are the biggest hurdle, or what is the most commonly encountered hurdle that you see in that scale?
Sure. So there are two aspects. There's one, customer is somebody, think of like the person who's on the IT side or the deployment side, and they need these devices to be easily deployed, easily managed, and easily configured remotely. That's one aspect, deployability. So their concerns are different than the frontline worker. Frontline worker, as Jochen said, they have been doing something for a long time. They know how to do it. So there's some amount of, why do I need this? And then it's a different form factor. Right? It's not like a phone which people use in their consumer life, in a normal life. So they know how to use it. It's obvious to them. Whereas smart glasses or any of these other form factors seem new. So it takes a little bit of training and getting used to the experience. So there is a little bit of those things. So one, complex technology at the frontline worker has to be very simple to use. And it's actually difficult to make things simple, right? Because you have to bring different parties like ourselves and yourselves and all of the other parties come together into one experience that should seem just seamless. It shouldn't be technology getting in the way. Technology should just not even appear. It should feel like it's not there, but it's helping them. So that is somewhat of the things that we continuously, all of us are trying to improve. On our side, we improved wearability with the new device. We added cloud to make it easier to manage and remotely diagnose, fix the machine configuration settings and things like that. So we are trying to put pieces together, but then all of us need to work together to make the stack easier, both deployment and also for the frontline worker ease of use.
Okay, and Guillaume, from your point of view, any hurdles that you encounter when you're trying to get in and scale up with remote assistance?
Yep, and I would say, funny enough, is that definitely we all owe a lot to Google and to the Google Glass trend and all this momentum that they created around Google Glass. But as well, they pushed a lot. It was around the consumer with a lot of promises, with all the nice video we all saw. But definitely behind it is, and still today, we always imagine kind of minority report style of stuff that you can already manage all around. And well, even if, and that's for sure, both the hardware and the software did improve a lot, but definitely it's not, there's no magic around just putting a smart glass that's going to recognize everything all around, and still be some work to get, well, people should believe that it's not going to be a fully magical device. It's just because we will work all together to get the right software, the right hardware, as Rama was saying, with all the great efforts they've done lately, especially with the last device with Navigator 500, which is bringing some cool stuff. But around, it's definitely we in those industrial needs as well to open up as well their use cases to make sure that we will bring the perfect software in terms of security, in terms of benchmark or whatever. We cannot invent something if we don't get all the constraints and to make it well. So again, it's something we definitely saw the market, the maturity of the market really change in the last 4 or 5 years. And especially with players, and here we have all of them around the table, which is good, but it's no big surprise as well, because we're all focused on professional use cases, and we're not kind of mixing up purely augmented reality or kind of a consumer style of great wow effect. We definitely going to bring up with the stuff. This is where, coming back to your question of hurdles, today is there still imagining that it's going to be a no-brainer, just put stuff in smart glasses, it's going to recognize everything. No, even if we do as simple as possible for both hardware and software, but definitely we'll have to team up with the professional to make sure that we will answer to his real problematic and not make something just for cool engineers that we all love to do. But at the end, we need to make up some money and bring some real value out of it.
Okay, so in the end, simplicity to hook it on in the company, to use it, that's the key for the future to drive the broader adoption or in a faster way. I'm aware of the time, so I have to speed up a little bit. Any short perspective on any role for AI? I think, Jochen, you mentioned already something.
We see companies investing in learning from their data. And then also specifically in the past, there was a lot to do around predictive maintenance. I think that's has shifted now more towards process control, especially in the bigger process industries. There's a lot to gain both on energy cost and on yield of these big processes. And I think it's a very good way to learn from your data, and that learnings that you develop that into a virtual assistant for your operators to actually intervene in the right way and in a standardized way into the process. There's a lot of tools out there that try to simulate that, golden batch tools, which they are typically referred to, but they're often on a desktop somewhere in an engineer's room. And I think there's a lot to gain from making that information accessible to an operator that can actually then intervene in the process.
Okay, well, that's interesting because indeed, artificial intelligence could, I would say, drive smarter assistance for that connected worker, and that could be by capturing the pictures that he took to prove that it's okay or that he controlled it, but sending it to a backend and the backend processing it and giving back, no, double check it because it might not be okay, that type of thing, or helping him out, you should try this or that stuff in this situation. So making the assistance smarter for that connected worker. That's definitely a future potential of AI that we see in this space. Now, as we are approaching the end of this session, any closing thoughts on where we will be in the next 5 years? What would be the biggest difference for these hundreds of millions of deskless workers out there? Maybe I'll start with Rama. How do you see that evolution? Will you sell 20 times more of your RealWears in the next 5 years, or what is your perspective on this?
I do see that we have, as an industry, moved past the POC stage, right? We are in large deployment stage. It's still early, but in large deployment stage. And as others pointed out, a majority of the devices that people are using are not competing devices or something else in any with XR. It's all tablets and phones. So my firm belief is that in the next 5 years, you'll see a lot more acceleration of deployments in the industry. And the separation between IT world and the OT world will also kind of blend away, because today it's still seen as something that comes more from an IT point of view, right? And information at the end has to be at the front line. So the line between that will blur, the line between machine and human will blur, because machines are getting smarter and smarter, the machines people are working on. And so information, there'll be a lot more information, so it becomes even more important for something like AI to be the glue. We still need humans on both ends who have the expertise, but then AI is the glue that provides the right context at the right time. So I do feel it's only a trajectory up from here. It's not a static industry by any means. We are just at the beginning.
Okay, clear. And Guillaume, any closing thoughts from your end on where you see the evolution? Remote assistance, a no-brainer for everyone in the next 5 years, or?
Well, remote assistance is definitely a use case, which is a good one to start with smart glasses. But when I wanted to get, we were speaking about wearables and AI, and I guess whereas definitely I see the great benefit of, for instance, of smart glasses, definitely because and nature has shown us this, is that all your center of big element of your own body is your brain, and there's always pretty relevant to bring to merge everything which comes from the IT or from artificial intelligence, bringing it to your own intelligence. This is where everything that you can wear on your own head, such as a smart glass or whatever, definitely will make the best of it. Either it will be through smart glasses, through implants, or whatever stuff that hardware will bring us, but definitely it makes definitely more sense, as I can all see smartphone is great because you can touch it, so it's meant to be in your hand, but then you only have one sense, whereas your eyes, your smell, your ear, whatever, everything is on your head. So there's no way that there's not a place, and the best place actually to bring and upscale the workforce and to upgrade him.
Okay, that's an interesting thought. It's all close to the head where you need to be if you want to upskill and upscale your platform and upskill your workforce. Jochen, any closing comments from your end?
I wanna jump on the comment that Rama made. We're past the proof of concept inferno, you would say. I do agree for the bigger companies and on specific use cases in the right industries, but I think there's a huge expansion still to come if you look at translating what has been learned in those bigger companies towards the small and middle-sized companies out there. There's a big step to take there. There often is still some paper left, and people are less invited to go to trainings and those kind of things. So I think there's a huge potential market out there for smart devices and workflow tools.
Okay, and maybe we will end up in a spiral, and let me give this as a closing thought. The near future, the next 5 years, we will see a pressure on resources, lack of skilled resources, a knowledge drain because of retirement, a higher cost of traveling, a need everywhere that you did it, approve, compliance. So all of those things might drive a need for digital technology, like these wearable devices to connect people and to register what they've been doing. But then again, once these technologies become adopted, they might drive or open opportunities to have a new business model. As Jochen already mentioned, maybe in the service industry, the future is not anymore about sending a few technicians to help you out, but it's going to be more connecting you with remote experts helping you out, which saves you time, travel, a lot of cost, and it more becomes of a, like an insurance company, an available service whenever you need it. So that in itself, that adoption of those new business models in itself then might make the need of the technology, I would say, irreversible and speed it up again. So it might be a positive spiral we are approaching.